Dear students, loving Sai Ram and welcome back. So far we have discussed about the phenomena of reflection of light. So in the last few lectures we have seen what do we mean by reflection of light, what do we mean by reflection of light from a plane surface, that is the plane mirror, what are the characteristics of image formed by a plane mirror, what are spherical mirrors, what are the laws that govern the image formation in spherical mirrors, and in the last video we have seen what is the image formation, how does the image formation occur in a concave and a convex mirror. In this particular lecture we will be looking at another interesting phenomena of light called refraction of light. For most of you this will be a new term, you would be hearing this for the first time, refraction of light. So in this lecture we will be seeing what do we mean by refraction of light, what are the laws that govern the refraction of light, what is a rarer and a denser medium, what do we mean by refractive index, what are spherical lenses, and what are the important terms related to spherical lenses. So let us begin. If you have a closer look at these three pictures, you would observe that the rays of light that are coming from the object in either of these three cases, the rays of light appear to bend whenever there is a change in the medium. For example, we have an object here, we can see it as it is. Now the same thing, suppose I immerse in a glass filled with water like how we do here. We observe this most of the times that whenever a pencil is immersed in a beaker of water, we see that there is a bend, an apparent bend that is observed. Though the pencil does not bend actually, the light rays, because they are moving from one medium into another medium, they appear to shift their direction and move. And this will form the basis for defining the phenomena of refraction of light. So let us see what do we mean by refraction of light. The change of direction of light because of the change of medium as the light rays travel from one medium to another medium is called refraction of light. Either we call it refraction or refraction of light. So what happens? Light rays, they never bend when they are traveling in a same continuous medium. But whenever there is a change of medium, that is when light rays travel from air to water or air to glass or in any other ways, whenever there occurs a change of medium, the change in direction of light is observed, and this change in direction of light is defined as refraction of light. The rays of light changes its direction or the phenomena of refraction happens. This occurs because of the difference of the speed of light in different medium. Now this is an important observation, an important point to note for all of you, and more of this, why exactly this happens, you will be learning in your higher studies. But you should remember that whenever there is a change in medium, speed of light differs in each medium. For example, speed of light in air is approximately equal to 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second, and this is the maximum speed at which light travels in air or vacuum. Now whenever this ray of light traveling from air, suppose it enters a medium like water or oil or honey, diamond, any medium, any other medium for example, there is a reduction in speed of light, and this reduction makes it to change its direction and move, and thus the phenomena of refraction takes place. So have a look at this diagram. We have a boundary that separates medium 1 and medium 2. This substance 1 we call it air, and let us call this substance 2 as water. So normal is defined as the imaginary line perpendicular drawn, an imaginary line that is drawn perpendicular at the boundary of separation of these two media. So this normal is at 90 degrees to both the media. Now incident ray, the ray of light, as it comes, it hits the surface of separation, and since there is no mirror, if mirror was there, what would have happened? The light ray would have gone off reflected. But because there is no mirror, there is no obstacle, what happens? Light ray travels through medium 1 into the medium 2. So from air it enters water, and light ray should have gone like this. So when the light ray moves from medium 1, if suppose there is no medium 2, it should have followed the same straight path. It should have gone off like this. As the light ray comes here straight, if there was no medium 2 or water, it should have gone off this way. But because a medium is there, there is a deflection or deviation in the ray of light. So what was supposed to be like this, when the medium is not there, because of a change in medium, the light ray shifts and bends this way and then it travels. So this is the incident ray of light, and the angle of incidence is defined as the angle between the incident ray and the normal. Similarly, angle of refraction now. So earlier we saw what is angle of reflection. Now we will be checking what is angle of refraction. The angle made by the refracted ray with respect to the normal is called angle of refraction. And like how we have laws governing the reflection of light, we do have laws that govern the refraction of light. Let us come to these laws. The first law appears quite obvious. The incident ray, the refracted ray and the normal to the interface of the two media all lie on the same plane. So this is the incident ray now. So this will be the incident ray and this is the refracted ray and the normal all lie on the same plane at the point of incidence. So there is no change in the plane, whichever plane we see the phenomena of refraction, all these three lie on the same plane. The next one, the ratio of the sine of angle of incidence to the sine of angle of refraction is a constant, and this is known as Snell's law. Snell's law of refraction. And this is how we mathematically formulate the Snell's law of reflection. Sin I by sin R is a constant, and this particular expression is called Snell's law. Now, when we learn about the mathematical identities and trigonometric identities, you will then understand what does this sin mean. So sine of angle, and I is an angle, angle of incidence, angle of refraction. So when we apply the trigonometric identity, that is sine to this angle, and divide sine by sine r, that is sine of the angle of refraction, always for different kinds of incident rays at different values of incident rays, the angle of refraction will be different, but this ratio always remains a constant for a given pair of media. More of this you will appreciate once you study about the trigonometric identities like sine of an angle, cosine of an angle, tangent of an angle, etc. Now we will see what do we mean by a rarer medium and a denser medium. So light travels from one medium to another medium. So a medium in which the speed of light is more is known as optically rarer medium. So speed of light is more is called optically rarer medium, and the medium in which the speed of light is less is known as optically denser medium. All of us know about the physical quantity called density. So more compact the molecules are, density we define, density is mass by volume. So a greater mass is compressed in a very lesser volume, then we say that density is more. So this is the physical phenomena, physical parameter called density. Now in optics, that is when we are discussing about light and its properties, optical density means whenever the speed of light is more in a medium, then we call it optically rarer medium, and when the speed of light is lesser in a medium, we call it optically denser medium. For example, speed of light in air is approximately 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second. And speed of light in glass, we can take it approximately 2 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second. Now, we know the value of speed of light in air, speed of light in glass. Now, by the definition of rarer medium and denser medium, air is taken as rarer medium and glass is taken as denser medium. Because speed of light in glass is lesser, we call it optically denser medium. This is called optically rarer medium. Air is, so when you take air and water or air and glass, air is the rarer medium and water is the denser medium. So, by comparing the speeds of light in that particular medium of any two media, we will be able to make out which is a rarer medium, which is a denser medium. So, this is a relative term, which means sometimes compared to water and air, air can be taken as rarer medium, water is taken as denser medium. But when you take vacuum and air, vacuum will be taken as rarer medium, air will be taken as denser medium because there is a slight variation. Speed of light in air is slightly lesser than speed of light in vacuum, though we approximate both the speeds in these two media as 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second. So, given any two media, suppose you are able to calculate what is the speed of light in each of that medium. So, looking at the value of speed of light, you will be able to classify it as a rarer medium or an optically denser medium. Now, this is an important point which you will have to mark. Whenever light travels from a rarer medium to a denser medium, it bends towards the normal. And whenever light travels from denser medium to a rarer medium, it bends away from the normal. So, when refraction happens, how do we know whether the light ray should bend this way or the other way? So, this particular property you should remember that whenever light ray travels from rarer to denser, it always bends towards the normal, and denser to rarer it bends away from the normal. Let us see how. Now, look at this. This is air, this is glass. Obviously, air is a rarer medium, glass will be a denser medium. Now, look at this. Light ray is incident from a denser medium into a rarer medium. The light ray follows a straight line path. Suppose there is no change of medium here. Suppose the light ray is continuing in glass, it should have gone off in the same straight way. The light ray is coming like this and it should have followed the same straight path without any deviation. But because there is another medium that is placed, there should be a bend of light now. The light ray will bend depending on whether it is rarer or denser with respect to the first medium. Now, look at this very carefully. Glass to air, that is light ray travels from denser to rarer medium. So, it must bend away from the normal. So, how do we depict this? So, light ray was supposed to come like this, but because it is moving from denser to rarer, it bends away from the normal. In the previous example, if you would have seen, look at this. This is rarer medium, this is denser medium. Light ray is traveling from rarer to denser. So, what should happen? The light ray should have gone off like this if there was no change in the medium. Because there is a change in the medium and light moves from rarer to denser, it bends towards the normal. So, what was supposed to be like this without medium 2, because of this the light ray bent towards the normal. So, the whole shift took place from here to here. So, light ray came like this, and then because rarer to denser, instead of going straight it bent towards the normal. In the later example, here if you see denser to rarer, the light ray is coming like this. Now, if there was no second medium, it should have gone off this way, but because it is denser to rarer, it bends away from the normal. So, light ray, the actual path is supposed to be here. Either it should bend towards the normal, this is the normal line for us now. So, either it should bend towards the normal or away from the normal, and that will be decided by whether the light ray travels from rarer to denser or vice versa. So, refractive index. So, this is yet another important property of an optical medium. A ray of light that travels obliquely from one transparent medium to another will change its direction in the second medium. This is what we have seen till now. The extent of the change in direction that takes place in a given pair of media is expressed in terms of the refractive index. So, refractive index is a number, it is a constant or it is a number which will determine or which will decide to what extent the light ray will bend, and using the refractive index we will be able to calculate the speed of light in either of the media if one of them is specified. The refractive index can be linked to an important physical quantity, that is the relative speed of propagation of light in different media, and this is how they define the refractive index of any medium. Consider ray of light travelling from medium 1 into medium 2, and V1 is the speed of light in the medium 1 and V2 we take it as the speed of light in the medium 2. So, V1 and V2 are the respective light speeds in medium 1 and 2. So, let us draw the diagram. So, this is medium 1, this is medium 2. We draw So, this is the imaginary perpendicular line, that is the normal that we draw. This is medium 1 and medium 2. So, a ray of light entered, a ray of light is incident here. This is taken as the angle of incidence. Now, it should have gone off straight without any deviation, but because there is a deviation, so it should have gone off straight if there was no deviation, but because there is a change in the medium. So, what happens? It is, and let us call this as rarer medium and denser medium. So, light ray travelling from rarer to denser, so it will bend towards the normal, it bends towards the normal, and this is called angle of refraction, R. Okay, so this is how we have taken this. The refractive index now, what does this tell us now? There are two different media, rarer and denser. Light ray is incident, it bent towards the normal and it changed its direction. The refractive index of medium 2 with respect to medium 1. Now look at this, refractive index of medium 2 with respect to medium 1. Why do we write like this? Because the refraction is happening in medium 2. If there was no second medium, light ray would have continued to go in the same straight path. But because there is a change in the medium, the light ray is bending in medium 2, and this property of the medium which makes it to bend and which determines to what extent it bends, that is given by the refractive index. So, refractive index of medium 2. Suppose the light ray is going in the opposite direction, then we write refractive index of medium 1. Why? Because the refraction is happening in medium 1. So, in whichever medium the refraction is happening, or to put it the other way, in whichever medium we observe the ray of light to bend, we write the refractive index of, that is the constant of medium 2 with respect to medium 1 as the ratio of speed of light in medium 1 to the speed of light in medium 2. So, let us see how do we depict it mathematically. Is given by ratio of speed of light in medium 1 to the speed of light in medium 2. So, this is how we write. Now, this notation is very, very important. N to 1, N denotes the refractive index. Refractive index is denoted by the letter N. Some of the books will give you this symbol, some books will give N, most of your books will follow N. Some authors will give this particular representation. This is a Greek alphabet called mu. This is the Greek alphabet mu, and sometimes they use this particular alphabet to denote what is refractive index. So, let us follow the book and then let us say that N denotes the refractive index. So, N to 1 when you write, it means what? Light ray is travelling from first medium to the second medium. Remember like this, and refraction is happening in the second medium. N21 means light ray travels from first medium to second medium and refraction is happening in the second medium, and mathematically we depict it as speed of light in the medium 1 by speed of light in the medium 2. Now how do we remember this correctly? N21, so N21 is equal to speed of light in one medium by speed of light in another medium. Sometimes you may get confused which one to put, whether V1 by V2 or V2 by V1. There is a simpler way to remember this. Suppose whenever you are writing N21, write whichever is near to the equal to sign, keep it in the numerator, the other one goes to the denominator. Refractive index of second medium with respect to first medium is V1 by V2. Suppose we have N12. What should this denote? N denotes the refractive index. Refractive index of first medium with respect to second medium means what? Refraction is happening in the first medium and the light ray is travelling from the second medium to first medium. So remember this notation very carefully. N12 means refraction, light ray travels from 2 to 1 and therefore the refraction is happening in medium 1 and therefore it should be V2 by V1. Whichever is near to the equal to sign, put it in the numerator, the other one goes to the denominator. So this is how we mathematically define the refractive index. So this is the mathematical expression for the refractive index. And suppose you don't know the speeds, you don't know if you know the value of speeds, then you will be able to calculate this parameter. So out of these three, V1, V2 and N, if you know any of the two parameters, the other third one can be calculated. So refractive index formula that includes the speeds of light is given by this. There is another formula for refraction, that is the refractive index. N21, the notation remains the same. Light ray is travelling from first medium to second medium, N21, right? So from first medium, light ray is travelling to second medium and refraction is taking place in the second medium, and we define it as sin I by sin R. This is what we saw in the earlier part as the Snell's law. Since most of you are not familiar with trigonometry as of now, so mostly we will be using confining to this particular expression, and there will be numericals that are asked with respect to this particular formula. If suppose the refractive index is given and speed of light in one medium is given, what will be its speed in the other medium? So like this numericals we will be able to solve them. So this is how we see. So from 1 to 2, light ray is travelling, this is angle I, this is angle R. Now can you tell which is rarer and which is denser medium? If we have a look at it carefully, the light ray was supposed to go off straight, but because of refraction it is bending towards the normal. So it means this is rarer medium and this is denser medium. So light ray travels from rarer to denser. So let's write the expression now. Light ray is travelling from first medium to second medium, which means refraction is happening in the second medium, N21. Light ray travelling from first to second is equal to speed of light in medium 1 by speed of light in medium 2. I can use the same expression to relate the refractive index to the angles, that is N21 when I write sine of angle by sine of another angle. Now which angle to put, whether I should put I or R here and I or R here. Look at this, N21, light ray travels from first to second medium. The same way we remember the expression here, let's remember it here also. N21 means sine of angle in the first medium. In first medium, what is the angle? I, angle I. By sine of angle in the second medium, it is R. Why? Light ray travels from first to second, so incident angle is here I, so we put I in the top and R in the bottom. Suppose we reverse and say that light ray is travelling from second medium to first medium, the notation will be differing. When we start solving some of the numericals, we will be understanding it more in much better way. So remember that refraction of light, the refractive index N21 is V1 by V2. So remember this expression and remember the notation, what is happening when you write like this, what does it mean. So we have seen mirrors are the instruments that are used to reflect light, and then lenses are the components that are used for observing the phenomena of refraction of light. So like how we have got spherical mirrors, there are spherical lenses, and these are of two types. One is convex lens and a concave lens. And this is how a convex lens or a converging lens looks, and this is how a concave lens or a diverging lens looks. A convex lens is called converging lens because of the same property what we wrote for the concave mirror. A convex lens and a concave mirror are converging in nature because rays of light that are incident on these components, after the reflection or refraction, in this case it will be refraction of light, all the rays of light, they will be converging to a particular point. Whereas in a concave lens and a convex mirror, what happens? Rays of light that are falling, they deviate and then they do not converge on the other side, but they appear to converge from the another point, and this is defined as the principal focus. So remember that a convex lens is called converging lens, a concave lens is called diverging lens, and here refraction happens. So light ray is incident from air, it hits the surface of the lens, and here there is no coming back, there is no reflection happening, but refraction takes place. Air to glass, it bends towards the normal, and then glass to air, it bends away from the normal. So here what is happening? There is a separation. So here air, this is glass, and then this is air. So light ray enters from rarer to denser medium, and then it passes through the denser medium. Again it enters from the denser to rarer medium, it emerges outside. So after all this, so refraction happens twice in a lens, and the output finally you see on this side is again in the medium 1. So what is happening? Light ray, so here this is air, glass and air. So light rays come from air to glass, when they go, refraction happens, and because of the curvature of the lens being like this in a concave lens, so what happens? The rays of light are deviated, and hence they emerge like this. Now just follow this path. So on the other side, after the refraction, these two rays of light, they never meet, they go off in different directions, but if you extend them back, they appear as if they are coming from a single point, and which is defined as the principal focus for a concave lens. Similarly for the convex lens also same thing. Because of the curvature being like this for a convex lens, the rays of light bend further, and then they actually meet here. So the image formation of a convex lens is similar to that of a concave mirror, and the image formation in a concave lens is similar to that of a convex mirror. More of it as we discuss further, you will be understanding in a better way, but for now you should be understanding that a convex or a converging lens is drawn like this, a converging lens, and a diverging lens is drawn like this. And remember, whenever you are drawing these lenses or mirrors, a convex lens you can never draw like this. If you draw like this, it is wrong, or if you draw very straight, almost like straight, this is also wrong. So the lenses have to be drawn with little bit of curvature. So this can be your convex lens and this can be your concave lens. So this is what happens in a convex lens. A convex lens is also called converging lens because of the obvious phenomena that rays of light that are falling on the lens. Now parallel rays of light are coming and falling on the lens, and because of the curvature of the lens being in this particular way, these rays of light, so air, glass, air. So these lenses are made up with a special kind of glass which is having refractive index somewhere near to 1.5 approximately. The actual values keep differing, but generally the refractive index of glass is taken as 1.5, and these lenses are used in spectacles, that is the straight away observation. In binoculars we use, of course at later point of time we will be seeing what are the uses of each of these kinds of mirrors and lenses. So here from air to glass and then to air the light ray travels and it converges. Converging lens, it converges. So another ray of light, it converges to the same point, it goes to the same point, it goes to the same point. So all these rays of light at whichever point they meet exactly, that particular point is called the principal focus, capital F. That point is called the principal focus of the lens. The same thing if you relate to what you have studied in your concave mirror, you will see that all rays of light after the reflection from the concave mirror, they exactly converge or focus at one particular point which is defined as the principal focus. A convex lens can produce both real and virtual images. In fact, if you see the image formation in a convex lens, you will exactly draw the parallels between a convex lens and a concave mirror. There are 6 cases in a concave mirror. It produces both real and virtual images. The same thing you will observe in a convex lens also. There are 6 cases of image formation in a convex lens, and you will be observing that it produces both real and virtual images. And a concave lens is called diverging lens because it diverges the rays of light after the refraction. So again air, glass, air, because of the curvature of the lens being in this particular way, the rays of light after refraction they bend away and further go away. So they never meet on the other side of the lens. Unlike your convex, these two rays of light or all these rays of light they never meet, but if you extend them back, it appears as if all the rays of light are coming from a single point called the principal focus. So the principal focus of a concave lens is defined as a point where the rays of light, the parallel rays of light after the refraction through the lens, they appear to meet on the same side of the lens, and the length between this and the principal focus is called the focal length. So there in the mirror, pole is taken as the exact midpoint of the mirror, and the exact midpoint of the lens is called the optic center O. The parts of spherical lenses we will be discussing now. Important terms related to spherical lenses. So what we call the pole in the mirrors is nothing but is called by a different name called optical center in lenses. This is defined as a point on the lens which is on the principal axis, and light ray doesn't reflect when passed through it. So whenever light ray passes through the optical center, there is no refraction that happens to the ray of light. Center of curvature, these terms will be related the same way. Center of curvature is defined as the center of the surface of the sphere of which the lens is a part. Since lens has two surfaces, the lens has two centers of curvature. Suppose you look at the convex lens, there is center of curvature on one side and the other side also. Similarly for a concave lens also, center of curvature is on one side and the other side also. Principal axis we know, the imaginary axis that passes through the center of curvature and the optical center. Principal focus we have defined in a convex lens, parallel rays of light after they refract from a convex lens at whichever point they meet exactly, that particular point is called principal focus of the convex lens. Now convex lens has on both sides, because if you make the ray of light, so this is taken as the optical center O, if you make the light rays incident from left to right, they focus on this side, and if you project the light rays from the other side, they focus on this side. So therefore in lenses what happens, there are two principal foci, one is on this side and the other is on the other side of the optical center. Focal length is the distance between the optical center and the principal focus on either side. So for a convex lens or a concave lens, the principal focus is at the same distance from the optical center, and therefore the focal length also remains the same. So, this is how we define optical center O. This point is called principal focus 1, this is called principal focus 2, and the distance between optical center and principal focus here, this is called the focal length, and this particular point is called C or 2F point. So, when you form, so this particular convex surface, if you extend and complete the imaginary spherical surface, what happens? This point which is at the exact center, we call it C1 or 2F1 point. Similarly, suppose you extend this and complete you complete the imaginary sphere on the right side, we see that if you draw it exactly spherical, you will see that this point which is at the exact center is taken as the 2F point. We do not call it center of curvature, we call it as 2F point, because this point is determined twice of this distance. So, we measure the distance from O to F2 and the double of that is marked here. Why exactly we do not call it C and why do we call it 2F2? You will have to think a little bit, because if you observe it carefully, you will be able to make out. Is this point taken as the exact center or is there any deviation? Have a look at this diagram carefully. Go back when you do your homework, you can try to reconstruct, draw a spherical lens, draw a convex lens and complete this, draw two circles that are intersecting to form a convex lens here, and then see whether this point will be exactly the center for lens, the spherical surface of this side or on the other side. This is interesting because this C1 is not taken as the exact center of this imaginary sphere, hollow sphere. Similarly, this C2 is not taken as the exact center of the imaginary sphere. There is a slight deviation because we are not measuring from this point, we are measuring from the optical center. The deviation is there, you will be able to make out. So, therefore, we will be confining our discussion to the point called 2F point. We will not call it C, we will call it 2F point. This is also called 2F1 and 2F2, sorry, the other one is called 2F2 point. So, optical center F1, 2F1, and this is the radius of curvature that is measured from here. This is called R, and this particular length is called the focal length. On the other side also it remains the same. Similarly, for a concave lens, what happens? This is called principal focus 1, because rays of light, when they are incident from here, they diverge and appear to come from this particular point called F1, and this point is called 2F1. And similarly, the distance between optical center and F1 is called the focal length of the concave lens. Same thing applies on the other side also. And now I think it is quite obvious that like the focal length measurement is easier for a concave mirror, it is easier to measure the exact principal focus, to point out which is the exact principal focus and measure the focal length for a convex lens. The focal length measurement for concave lens is not direct and it is not easier, but by using different methods, by using combinations of lenses, they will be able to make out and measure exactly what is the focal length of a concave lens. So, with this we will complete our discussion on refraction of light, the laws governing refraction of light, refractive index and these spherical lenses, and in the next lecture we will be seeing as to what are the rules that govern the image formation in a spherical lens and what will be the image formation, how the image formation occurs in a concave lens and a convex lens. Thank you and Sai Ram.